Hey traders, checking into the stock market today. So further grind up for the bulls. It was a fairly boring day, but by the end of the day, the bulls shot up to confirm higher highs. We've got a reaction to Google earnings after hours we'll take a look at, and the bulls continue to put pressure on shorts. We are now closer to all-time highs than we are to the lows from just a week ago. So looking at the S&P 500 futures chart, a very significant bounce. Retracement now is over 55%. Which again means we are closer to all-time highs than we are to the recent lows. We need less than 6% to get back to that high, and we would need a drop of over 7.5% to break the recent low. So definitely some frustrated bears out there. There were frustrated bulls on the dump, and now there's frustrated bears on the bounce. And there are a lot of people scouting the top of this bounce to try and be set, and the slow grind up yesterday definitely kept some pressure on bears. Just looking at the 15-minute time frame, it was just the grind up all day. Bears finally got a little win short term into the close, and then a V-shaped bounce. And then today it was mostly sideways range bound. And then as soon as power hour rolled around, the bulls shot up to new highs, triggering any shorts that were in positions to then be in the red and to force a bunch of people to cover. And then we had Google after hours. There's your earnings reaction. They've got approved for a forward split, and Google's looking up at the all-time high, 30.19. So still a couple percent away from that level, but obviously a notable bullish reaction. So you can just feel the environment is shifting, where everything was doom and gloom, the world's over, bear market, and now we had an Apple bullish earnings reaction, we got a Google bullish reaction, and just like that, there are significant market bulls out there. The size of this bounce also has people saying, darn, I wish I bought that dip. And the bulls will be looking to buy daily higher lows. I already know people in the chat room that are going to be looking to buy our MJ sector, which we'll look at again, which is our highest risk, highest reward sector. And it's one of our bounce leaders. And there are people that are patiently waiting to buy the next daily higher low on that consolidation. So again, the burden of proof is now on bears. If we do not break this fear low, the simple statement would be, if we don't break this fear low in Q1 2022, we will very likely hit new all-time highs. I can't imagine that we're going to trade within this range for 2 months. We can certainly trade within this range for a long time, but bears must break that low and confirm the weekly downtrend. It's still possible. It's still on the table, but we would need a very notable sentiment shift. We had a very notable sentiment shift to the bulls, and now we would need another very notable sentiment shift back to the bears. So the 4-hour uptrend is going to be our guide on the futures chart. And the low of today on SPY is a 4-hour higher low on the S&P 500. And again, this futures chart just gives me a nice glimpse of things that I otherwise wouldn't clearly see. Because I saw the morning weakness today, and I actually entered a bearish QQQ position right at the open and was able to get risk-free in that trade very quickly and just let it play out. But I was looking for daily consolidation to begin. And then I looked at the 4-hour time frame for the futures chart and I said, well, shoot, if we hold the EMA 12, the bulls are in complete control still. This pullback is nothing at this point. And that marked the low of the day. And now a 4-hour higher high. So if we hold the low of today, tomorrow, the 4-hour uptrend will remain intact. Where's our next resistance level? I'm looking up at the high of January 20th. And so going back on SPY, where were we at the high of January 20th? We're looking at 458.74 as the next resistance level from here. So not a ton of difference between the futures chart and SPY's chart right now. It's really pretty much just if you're watching the hourly uptrend on SPY or the 4-hour uptrend on the futures chart. And even that end of the day dump yesterday formed a little support level, and we held it at the low of today. So if we can't even break that support, we know bears aren't going to go very far. And the other factor today is it was the financial sector leading the way. Again, we got bull rotation going on. QQQ led the way off the bottom, changed the daily trend. XLF did not yet. And now today, XLF has changed the daily trend for the bulls, and it led the way, which again is an ideal scenario for the bulls. It's not one individual sector that's doing all the dirty work. It is everybody's taking their share. So NASDAQ, 4-hour higher low at the low of today. Bull break. Again, keeping in mind the NASDAQ does still have more work to do. The retracement size is not as significant back to the all-time high at this point, but it's not far behind. It's about a 49% retracement as opposed to a 55%. So we are going to scout a weekly lower high to be the result of this bounce, but there's no sign of this bounce topping yet. And every single day that we just slow grind up, more pressure is put on shorts. You have pressure from shorts that are in positions on the way down. Anybody that is in any bear position over the last 7 days is now underwater. But you also have bears that are trying to hit the top of this bounce that are stopping out. And so we can see SPY on this drop today. You know bears were entering the first 45 minutes, and then we putter around sideways, and at the end of the day, that forces anybody that went bearish on the day that doesn't want to hold a red position overnight is then forced to close into that move into the end of the day. So bulls have complete short-term control as long as the hourly uptrend remains, and with this after-hours bull move in Google, we have even more space to work with to maintain the hourly uptrend. So again, I've still got some bull exposure out there in the positions that I've been talking about in the last couple of videos, but if we gap up open tomorrow, I'm going to do the exact same thing I did today, and that is enter a bear position. First thing, I used QQQ high of pre-market. It was a top, a double top, and I just said, all right, if we don't break 365, I'm going to enter a short first thing and I won't cover. If we break 365, I'll cover. So then we dumped first thing, exit half, and did swing some short position, which is obviously underwater. So I swung half of that position just because I have only had bull exposure the last couple of nights. I knew the Google earnings was going to be a little bit of a toss-up. So that position is in the red here, but just offsetting some of the longs. So QQQ, same story. Everything I just said for SPY is the same for QQQ. We got the hourly uptrend as our guide. We have an hourly support level at 361.39 for the bulls to maintain complete control. And the next resistance level that we're looking at is up at 373.87. If the bulls have the hourly uptrend intact, they have absolute complete control. We're not going to see any daily consolidation unless the hourly uptrend is lost. So again, if we gap up open tomorrow, I will be looking for a bearish position. One of these times, I did the same thing. Remember, I did the exact same thing playing the bounce. I was a little bit early. I would stop out on some bounce attempts with break even or tiny losses. And then once the actual bounce took place, NIO gave me a big win. And now I will look to do the same. I'll take some small losses or break even stop outs, trying to get that daily consolidation. And then when that actual daily consolidation takes place, the win that I'm going to get from it is going to far outweigh the small losses from the failed attempts. And then we're going to look for a tightening range. And again, things are going to get boring for a while, eventually, where we have all this volatility, both directions. This is how markets work. Massive volatility in both directions, and then you find a tightening range, and volatility significantly decreases. And things get boring. But not yet. Have to find our tightening range. SMH has not broken resistance. The names that had daily lower highs still have daily lower highs. So SMH key level 271.39. Nope, 278.89. And we got close today, but we didn't break it. So if we have a red day tomorrow, and you can see after hours here, that must mean AMD is having a bullish reaction. AMD bulls. So semiconductors responding. So we are over that resistance, and I'm assuming we're going to break this daily lower high tomorrow with a gap up open, 278.89. Again, we will need to confirm the daily trend change once we top out, but this is now giving the bulls a lot of space to work with. I was watching for the potential of a 4-hour inverse head and shoulders, but very, very minimal 4-hour consolidation. I wouldn't call that a valid pattern. I would have needed to see more significant retracement for that right shoulder to form. But bulls are pleased. They've got the hourly uptrend in their favor, and they are creating space for an eventual daily trend change attempt once we top out. Tesla, daily resistance, daily EMA 12 remains. So Tesla is a place where we can be fairly confident where, okay, if we're not testing daily resistance, 987s at this point, we're going to anticipate a lower high compared to that level because we are still 5% plus away from that level, and the broader market is surging up and extremely strong. So if we're not testing that resistance in this broader market environment, I mean, unless SPY bulls go up 2 more days in a row, we're going to be looking for this daily lower high, and the 4-hour inverse head and shoulders here is still potentially on the table. A red day tomorrow, and I'm definitely watching for that right shoulder to try and form. And we would then look for a higher low, and then bulls would need to confirm the trend change. NIO, some bounce follow through, but daily EMA 12 resistance. And again, if we lose the hourly uptrend, daily consolidation will be underway, and bears can be watching for it. We're not in an uptrend. We are in a daily downtrend, and we have bounced 30%, and we're at daily EMA 12 resistance. So there are definitely plays that bears are scouting for. Healthcare, not a very eventful day, but not topping out yet. Still higher low and higher high today compared to yesterday. Financial sector, daily trend change confirmed. So zoom out and we scout a weekly lower high, anything under 4170. Could this be a weekly head and shoulders? Absolutely, it's a possibility. But again, we need a complete 180 of momentum yet again, back in favor of the bears. And right now, the bulls have all that momentum in their favor. Hourly uptrend remains our guide. Anything above the low of today is an hourly high or low. Next resistance will be 39.87. IWM still has daily resistance. So that level is 203.55. And it's a double top at the high of today. I assume after hours we're a bit above it. Nope, under it. So that double top is in play tomorrow. We'll see how we react to it. If it's going to be a convincing rejection, we would have to break 197.97 and lose the low of today. And then we would be looking for that right shoulder to potentially try and form. So clear double top resistance in play tomorrow. But again, the bears have to prove it. Biotech sector, right up at resistance, 95.62. Nice top fish there. This is one I missed. I was not paying attention. Might have been away from the computer. I don't remember. But a clear double top by 2 pennies. And then we pull back over 2%, which is a 6% bounce in LABD. So there was definitely a nice top fish opportunity there. And it was a good sign for the bulls for the bears that the bulls got there pretty darn extended. We went straight from the low of the day to that resistance. No 15-minute trend change. The 5-minute RSI was approaching 70. So that's what I want to see. If I'm top fishing or bottom fishing, I want to see an overextended move on the shorter term time frames, just flushing to that level or shooting up straight to that level, because I want the opposing side to be exhausted by the time they head to that support or that resistance. So XBI, key resistance test tomorrow as well. We would have to lose 93.40 support for a notable rejection from that daily double top. And again, if we do, that's when we scout the potential of the inverse 4-hour head and shoulders. So those inverse 4-hour head and shoulders are less likely now that we had a solid green day today. But some of them are still on the table. And again, I'm not making any trades based off of it. I just know that if this happens, then I will scout this trade. If it doesn't happen, I'm not going to scout that trade. So the cannabis space is leading to the upside, which is very notable. And today, Canadian MJ stood out as lead bulls the majority of today. And so on this last 3-day move, we're up 28%. But it was notable today looking around and seeing, let's just see how the morning started. So here, let's overlay IWM. So where did we see a bullish correlation? When was it standing out most clearly? And the overlay is making things a bit tricky here, but we had IWM hit a lower low first thing in the morning. We double bottomed on CGC. CGC broke 5-minute resistance and hit a new high of the day at about 10:15. So look at IWM, a very clear lower low. CGC double bottomed there. And CGC by 10:15 is at the high of the day. Here's where we were on IWM at 10:15. So I'm looking at that and saying, cannabis bulls are standing out in a big way. They are a lead bull comparative to IWM. And if you look at the long-term charts in cannabis, we have been lead bears, bearish correlation with IWM for 8 months. And so when that happens, it is very notable. And the cannabis space is shifting some momentum. USMJ did the same thing as far as changing the daily trend, increasing bull volume. Again, still a ton of work to do on the longer term time frames. We're just looking for a weekly lower high. But it is notable to me that our weakest sectors are getting the stronger bounces, some of the stronger bounces off of our lows. That shows confidence going everywhere. Not just, okay, I'm confident enough to buy Apple now and our blue chips. No, I'm confident enough to buy the junk at the bottom of the barrel, is what the market is saying the last couple of days. Again, that can change. We have to see how long that keeps up. But if we consistently see a bullish correlation between cannabis and IWM, we're going to say, okay, this is a very notable shift in market environment, and we are potentially shifting to a different cycle because we've been in a bear cycle for 8 to 10 months, and we are looking for a bull cycle shift, knowing that we have a catalyst in November. That's a long ways away, but there is a voting catalyst in November where we will see states, some states will legalize, some states will have medical, the media will be all over it, and that is when prices will run up leading into November. But not anticipating that as a factor for months and months from now. We just know it's a dangling carrot. VRNOF had acquisition news, made a big buy of another company. And again, just highlighting this name because of the plays off of $10. And today we bounced from 10.09, 15% bounce. Essentially, it was a sell-off in response to being the acquiring company, which is very normal, and then bulls very aggressively buying that dip. And as long as we keep holding this base of support, I will keep making plays off of it. So that is one of my MJ swing positions I've got, and I will hold this position for many months. I'll be in this position for the run up to the votes in November unless 986 breaks. So the simple statement is if 986 holds, I expect this position to be a 50% plus winner for me. But that support obviously has to hold. Other than that, most growth names still continuing some strength. And again, we're just watching for temporary tops. Couple gap ups in a row. So ARKK, 2 gap ups in a row. Netflix with a raging bull move. It's gapped up twice in a row. So if Netflix and these other names see a 3rd gap up in a row tomorrow, we know that's a bearish reversal pattern for us to be scouting, again, a potential pullback. Just being very calculated with it. I'm not just shorting. The people that are in trouble right now and frustrated have just been shorting the last 2 days, and they don't have a game plan, they don't have a stop, and they're in red, and it's just getting more and more painful with every leg up that we see. But as long as you're calculated and establishing clear stop levels and making sure that if you're wrong by a little bit, it's not a big loss, that is what is going to keep me continuing looking for that daily consolidation. If I had taken, a day loser each of the last 2 days, I'd say, oh, all right, I can't keep looking bearish. I'm just going to give back all of my profits from January. But if you keep those losers small, it keeps you in the game. Okay, didn't nail it this time. I'm trying again tomorrow. So have different mindsets. I'm looking bearish in the short term for daily consolidation, but again, I'll be looking for some daily higher lows to make bull entries as well. Hope you're well. Hope you had a good day. We'll see how long the bulls can keep the hourly uptrends. See you tomorrow. Do good things. So we'll wrap up story time here with New England and the White Mountains. And then we'll get into more current recent stuff. I'll go over my garden game plan and we'll watch it grow before our eyes. But first things first, this is Baxter State Park. Oh man, mountain is slipping my mind. Someone's going to name this mountain. It's the end of the Appalachian Trail. If you start the Appalachian Trail in the south and you hike up north, this is the last hurdle to get through to complete the journey. And anybody that does that journey is absolutely insane and an absolute machine to pull that off. But go to the White Mountains and New England in the fall, as it is an incredible place. So an awesome hike up, and this is the trail. This is called Knife's Edge Trail to get to the top, and it's pretty sketchy. But it was a good time. I went with a couple of buddies, and this was just a short, overnight weekend stay where we did this hike. And then from there, headed back down to Maine, where I had worked on the farm for that season. So revisited back in Maine, met some sheep friends. That's Teemo the Guard Dog. He is currently guarding sheep in heaven. And these are the 2 female dogs. That's Bear and that's Sobe, Australian Shepherds. Those are the ones that would always fight. I wasn't there a whole lot once Teemo moved in. He was a neighboring farmer's dog and they were moving. And I wonder if Teemo kept them in line more. I'd be curious to know that answer. But the leaves changing and the landscape is just all color explosion and really cool to go check out. And here in North Carolina, Western North Carolina, I would say it doesn't rival, but It's not a far second behind New England in terms of foliage in the fall. And these are 3 books that I read on my road trip up north. Hempbound, this was a really good one, just in terms of updated information about the legalization of hemp and how Canada had the head start and how the U.S. would need to learn a lot from Canada, who had, I mean, in the U.S., it was really, you couldn't even get cultivation equipment for hemp. It just wasn't even made. So it was very interesting watching the development of the, and obviously it's changed very much since then, but the hemp industry. And this is more on lucid dreaming and things of that nature. And always down for some Native American insight and knowledge. And that's another good one. Lame Deer Secret of Visions. And the other one is Black Elk Speaks as a good one. And that's that. So I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good day.